Have you ever had one of those mornings where you sit down with your cup of coffee, look out the window and think, so, what now? The hustle and bustle of the working years are behind you. No more early morning meetings, no deadlines, no weekly reports. First, it feels like a relief, doesn't it? But after a while, the quiet can start to feel a little too quiet. And if you've ever caught yourself wondering if you're really living or just existing these days, you're not alone. Here's the thing most people don't talk about. Retirement is a big transition. It's not just about stopping work. It's about starting a whole new chapter, one that doesn't have to be slow or dull or lonely. In fact, this can be the most exciting, freeing, and fulfilling time of your life, if you know how to make the most of it. That's what we're going to dive into today, because being retired doesn't mean being tired, worn down, or left behind. It means having time, your time, and the freedom to spend it in ways that light you up inside. In this video, I want to share 7 powerful, fun, and deeply meaningful ways you can stay active, stay sharp, and most importantly, stay fulfilled after 65. These aren't vague tips or fluffy advice. These are real, practical ideas that you can start doing today. Things that will boost your mood, your energy, and even your health. Let's get into the first one, because it just might surprise you. Have you ever thought about how much knowledge and experience you've built up over the years? Seriously, think about it. You've lived through decades of changes, learned countless skills, raised families, solved problems, and probably have stories that would make younger folks' jaws drop. What if you could share that? One of the most fulfilling things you can do in retirement is mentor someone younger. It could be a young person just entering the workforce, a teen figuring out life, or even someone in their 30s or 40s trying to make a big life decision. You don't have to be a life coach or write a book. You just have to be present and willing to share. I know someone in his 70s who started meeting with a group of young men at his church once a week. They talk about careers, relationships, finances, nothing fancy. But every week, they show up, eager to listen. And he says those conversations have given his life a whole new sense of purpose. He feels needed again. That kind of connection, that sense of being able to pour into someone else's life, is incredibly energizing. And let's be honest, we all want to feel like we still matter, and you do. So think about it. Who in your life could use your guidance, your stories, or just your encouragement? Now, let's shift gears a little. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went in there? Or started a sentence and lost your train of thought halfway through? It happens to all of us, especially as we get older. But here's something really exciting. Your brain is still growing. Yes, even now. And one of the best ways to keep it growing is by learning something completely new. I'm not talking about brushing up on old hobbies. I mean diving into something you've never tried before. Maybe it's learning Spanish or how to play the guitar. Maybe it's trying digital photography or even starting a blog. New skills don't just keep you busy. They actually rewire your brain, helping to build new neural pathways and keeping your memory sharper. There's a woman I know who started painting at 68. She'd never touched a canvas before. Now, her work is displayed in local cafes and art fairs. She says she feels more alive now than she ever did during her career. And it's not about being good at it. It's about the trying, the stretching, the fun of being a beginner again. That playful curiosity is one of the best things you can carry into retirement. So if there's something you've always thought about doing, but felt too busy, too tired, or too nervous to try, this is your time. Go for it. Let's talk about something else that doesn't get enough credit: movement. Not just exercise, but movement that actually brings joy. Because let's be honest, the idea of doing push-ups in the living room or walking on a treadmill for an hour doesn't exactly light a fire in most people over 65. But here's the secret: it doesn't have to be boring. In fact, it shouldn't be. Think about dancing. When was the last time you just let yourself move to music without worrying what you looked like? Dance is one of the most joyful, liberating ways to stay physically active. It boosts your balance, strengthens your heart, and, best of all, it makes you feel good. And you don't need a ballroom or a partner. You can put on your favorite oldies in the living room and dance like nobody's watching. Because truly, nobody is. Or maybe it's joining a walking group or doing Tai Chi in the park. Or even light gardening. Movement should feel like a gift, not a punishment. It should fit into your life in ways that make you feel more alive. And when you move regularly, especially doing things you love, you not only feel better physically, but mentally too. Your energy lifts, your stress drops, you sleep better. All of it matters. And I want to say this clearly. You don't have to go hard to see real benefits. Consistency beats intensity every single time. 10 joyful minutes a day is better than an hour you dread and quit after a week. So find what brings you joy and move your body with gratitude, not guilt. Now that we've opened the door to rediscovering purpose through mentorship, reawakening curiosity with new skills, and recharging your body through joyful movement, let's keep the momentum going. You know, sometimes we underestimate just how powerful it is to be part of something bigger than ourselves. After retirement, it's easy to slip into routines that become, well, a little too quiet. The house is peaceful, the phone rings less, and suddenly the days start blending into one another. But here's the truth. We are wired for connection. And not just casual small talk, we crave real community. The kind that brings laughter, shared stories, and that feeling of, I belong here. One of the best ways to stay vibrant and fulfilled after 65 is by finding or creating a community that lights you up. Could be a local book club where the real fun is in the tangents and tea more than the books. It could be a pickleball group, a knitting circle, or a group that meets at the park just to chat and stretch. The activity doesn't matter as much as the bond that forms when people show up for each other. I knew a man named Carlos, 72, who started a Sunday morning breakfast group. Nothing fancy, just a few neighbors and some scrambled eggs. But over time, it grew into something really special. They laughed together, helped each other through losses, shared recipes, even traveled together. That small commitment turned into a lifeline of friendship and support. And the best part? Anyone can start something like that. If you're thinking, but I don't really know many people, that's okay too. Sometimes joining a local class or volunteer group is all it takes. People who show up for those kinds of things are often looking for the same thing you are: connection. You don't have to be the loudest in the room, you just have to walk in. And trust me, when you find your people, it lifts your whole spirit. Now let's talk about something that really touches the heart: giving back. You know what's beautiful about this stage in life? You're no longer chasing promotions or stuck in the daily grind. You have wisdom, time, compassion, and those are powerful tools for making a difference. Volunteering doesn't have to mean committing to a rigid schedule or running big events. It could be something as simple as reading to kids at the library once a week, helping out at the animal shelter, delivering meals to people who can't get out, even writing cards to soldiers or hospital patients. Every little bit of kindness adds up. There's a woman I once met, a retired nurse named Joanne. After she stepped away from the hospital, she missed feeling like she was helping people. So she started visiting elderly neighbors who lived alone. Just short visits, nothing complicated. But those visits became the highlight of their weeks, and hers too. She said it gave her mornings purpose again. It made her feel needed, alive, valued. And here's the real secret. When you help others, something beautiful happens inside you. Studies show volunteering not only improves your mood, it can actually extend your life. That sense of contribution, of doing something meaningful, is one of the strongest sources of happiness we have. So if you're ever feeling restless, lonely, or just like something's missing, maybe it's time to start giving some of that golden wisdom and kindness away. It always circles back. Now, this next one might surprise you a bit, because when we think about staying fulfilled, we often think of doing more. But sometimes the most powerful shift happens when we stop and take a moment to go inward. Have you ever tried journaling? I don't mean writing a novel or even keeping a diary. I mean taking just 10 minutes a day to sit quietly and write down your thoughts. What you're grateful for, what made you smile today, a memory that came up, even something that's bothering you that you just need to get off your chest. There's no wrong way to do it. Journaling is like a conversation with your inner self. It slows your thoughts down, clears the mental clutter, and it helps you notice the little joys that often slip past unnoticed. The sound of birds in the morning, the neighbor's flowers blooming, that phone call from your granddaughter. There was a gentleman named Roy who started journaling every night before bed. first, he said it felt silly. But after a few weeks, he realized something. He was sleeping better, waking up more peaceful, feeling less anxious. He said it helped him find clarity and calm. Like sorting through a messy drawer in my mind, he told me once. And if writing isn't your thing, you can try something like mindfulness or guided meditation. There are apps, videos, even senior centers offering classes now. It's not about becoming a guru or sitting cross-legged on a mountain. It's about finding just a few moments of peace in your day to be, instead of always doing. And let's be honest, after a lifetime of taking care of everyone else, don't you deserve a little space to care for you? All of these things, community, volunteering, journaling, they're not just about filling time. They're about filling your life with joy, with purpose, with connection. Because being retired doesn't mean stepping off the stage. It means stepping into a new spotlight, one where you get to choose the script. There's something deeply energizing about learning something new. You'd think that after decades of school, work, and life experience, we'd be done with that whole student role. But actually, the opposite is true. The brain is a lot like a muscle. If you keep using it in fresh, challenging ways, it stays sharp, curious, and full of life. That's why one of the most exciting things you can do after retirement is pick up a new skill or hobby. Maybe it's something you always wished you had time for, like painting, playing the piano, learning another language, or even starting a small garden. Or maybe it's something completely out of the blue that you just think sounds fun. Why not take up photography, or enroll in an online history course, or finally figure out how to use that smartphone like a pro? I once met a woman named Esther, 68, who decided to learn how to play the ukulele. She'd never played an instrument before in her life, but she always loved music, and the thought of strumming out a song just made her smile. She found some free lessons on YouTube, practiced in her living room, and within a few months, she was performing for her grandkids and teaching them songs too. That little ukulele became her joy machine. When you learn something new, it's not just about the skill. It's about confidence, creativity, that sense of being alive and fully engaged in the world around you. And the best part? You get to be a beginner again. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up and enjoy the process. Another powerful way to stay active and fulfilled after 65 is travel. Now, I know not everyone's itching to hop on a plane to Europe or take a cruise around the world, but travel doesn't have to be big and expensive. Sometimes the most meaningful journeys are just an hour away. Think about the places nearby you've never really explored. That little art museum downtown, the farmer's market in the next town over, a walking trail by the lake you've driven past 100 times but never stopped to enjoy. Even a weekend trip to a cozy bed and breakfast can feel like an adventure. Travel has this way of waking us up. New sights, new faces, new routines. They shake us out of autopilot and bring us back into the present. You notice things more. You talk to strangers. You laugh at getting lost. And whether you're traveling solo with a partner or a group of friends, you always come back with stories, memories, and sometimes even a fresh perspective on your everyday life. I remember this couple, both in their 70s, who bought a small camper van and decided to drive cross-country together. Not fast, not with a rigid itinerary, just the open road and curiosity. They said it was like falling in love with life all over again. With each other, too. Of course, not everyone wants to hit the road, and that's okay. Fulfillment isn't just about doing more. It's about doing what matters to you. So if travel isn't your thing, maybe it's writing, or mentoring, or spending time with your grandkids and passing down your stories. And that brings us to one last, but incredibly important piece of this puzzle: legacy. At this stage in life, you've got something so many people don't experience: perspective, wisdom. You've been through the highs, the lows, the in-betweens, and whether you realize it or not, your story matters. Maybe it's writing down your memories in a book for your family. Maybe it's teaching your grandchildren how to cook that special recipe only you know. Maybe it's mentoring someone younger in your community, or simply being the kind of person people can count on when things get tough. Leaving a legacy isn't about money or fame. It's about impact. It's about love. It's about making sure a part of you lives on in the hearts and lives of others. And guess what? You don't have to wait for some big moment to make it happen. Every kind word, every lesson shared, every hand held. That's legacy. So as we wrap up this conversation, let me leave you with this. Being retired doesn't mean you've reached the end of the road. It means you're finally free to choose where the road goes next. You've earned this time not just to rest, but to live, fully, joyfully, on your own terms. Whether it's joining a community, giving back, learning something new, traveling, or simply sharing your story, the years ahead can be some of the most fulfilling of your life. Not because everything is perfect, but because you get to decide what fulfillment looks like now. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You are not invisible. You are not past your prime. You are a vibrant, valuable human being with so much left to give and experience. The world still needs your voice, your smile, your light. So tell me, what are you excited to do next? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your dreams, your hobbies, your goals, big or small. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more inspiration made just for you. Here's to living boldly, laughing often, and staying young at heart, no matter what the calendar says. You're retired, but you're definitely not tired.